everybody, this is Armando Acosta. Today what I'll be talking to you about is the Dell EMC Hortonworks Hadoop Reference Architecture, a new offering that we're actually adding to the portfolio. This is a really good thing for our customers today. When you're looking at Hadoop distributions, Cloudera and Hortonworks are the two top players. And so by us adding this Hortonworks Reference Architecture, we're actually able to go and address more customer use cases, more customer needs. So for this training today, I'm going to try to keep it at very high level, so be aware of that. We do have more detailed information, more detailed resources, so you can go and educate yourself, so look for those resources. But today, like I said, we're going to keep it at a very high level. So as we begin, first let me kind of set the table for you and really help you understand what's going on with our customers today. We recently conducted a Dell Transformation Index, Digital Transformation Index, and we actually went and talked to 4,000 business leaders that are customers today, and we really wanted to understand the impact of the digital transformation. And what we found is that it's causing a lot of churn and chaos with our customers and a lot of uncertainty. If you just look at the numbers, they're pretty astounding. 48% of those business leaders that responded said they don't know what their industry will look like in 3 years. 78% feel that digital startups are threatening and are more easily accessed now into their business or as competitors. And then not only that, 45% fear that their business might become obsolete in 3 to 5 years. So there's this uncertainty around digital transformation, and they have to do something. And so what we asked is, okay, in order to get ahead of this digital transformation, what are you going to do? How do you plan to take that next leap and respond to this? And what we learned from our customers, they said 73% of them said that they're going to go look for a centralized tech strategy to be a priority. 72% of them said that they plan to expand their software capabilities. So they're going to write software code, new IP to become differentiated. And then, of course, they know that they have to invest in different areas. And, 66% of those customers said that they're going to invest in IT infrastructure and digital skills leadership. And so what this means for customers is that they have a huge opportunity to get this right, but they're going to have to partner with the right partner that can get them there. And so when you look at this and say, okay, well, what is the digital transformation? What attributes do you actually need to become successful? What do you want to do? And as we asked this to customers, this is what they told us is, they want to be agile. They want to be able to innovate in new ways. They want to be able to operate in real time. They want to be able to deliver a unique and personalized experience to their customer. They want to be able to proactively spot and, predict new opportunities. And so if you look at these digital, transformation attributes, the thing that's astounding here is that, if you look at what they want to do here, guess what? Big data and analytics will be at the core to enabling all these attributes. So they're going to have to invest in big data and analytics. They're going to be looking for solutions here in order to get to these digital business transformation attributes. And this is why, we need to focus on big data and analytics because customers need help here. So the other question we always get asked is, is there real value in big data? What we hear today is that 2 out of 3 big data projects fail because IT and business are not aligned. But what we did here is, in late November 2015, we actually went and did another survey where we went and talked to 2,000 business leaders. We call this the Dell Global Technology Adoption Index. And what we found here is that those essentially companies that were data-driven actually had a 50% greater revenue growth than those companies that were not essentially data-driven or did not know how to utilize data efficiently. And so when you look at this, customers are using this to gain a competitive advantage. They're using big data to know more about their customer, offer better products, or offer new services that were potentially not there before. Now, on the opposite side, when we ask customers, okay, you need to go do big data and analytics, but how are you going to get there? Where are you going to get started? And what was astounding about the results is that 44% of the organizations didn't know where to start. So they know they have to do it. They know they have to get there because of the digital transformation to be relevant down the road, but they need help. And this is where Dell and EMC can come help. Let's leverage our expertise. Let's take that consultative approach here. And really, what we're trying to do is help our customers become data-driven. Help them define the use case, help them align business and essentially IT goals. Essentially, once you define that use case, then you say, hey, let's drive and improve operational efficiency, or let's get to some new insight that we've never had before, and that'll allow us to transform our business. So now let's dig deeper into the use cases. So as I said earlier, there's two type of big use cases that we use. We call the operational efficiency use case and the business transformation use case. So first, let's start with the operational efficiency use case. And so just like I said earlier, operational efficiency is about driving cost out. You want to come and introduce some new big data technology like Hadoop so that you can lower costs in your organization today. One prime example, if you look, is what we call data warehouse optimization. When you look at this use case today, enterprise data warehouses are at capacity and at performance. They're busting at the seams, about 70% of those. That's a Gartner stat. And so what customers are trying to do is they're trying to take workloads out of the enterprise data warehouse and essentially shift them into new big data technologies so that they can gain efficiency. One way they're doing this is essentially you have an enterprise data warehouse, you go in and plug a Hadoop cluster right next to that, and then what you're able to do is you're able to take your data transformation jobs and shift those into Hadoop. Hadoop does it more efficiently, faster, better performance, and at scale. And then on the adverse side, now essentially that enterprise data warehouse is not being bogged down by this work, and now it's free to do what it was supposed to do, which is read and write data, do queries, do business reporting. So this is just one prime example, but you'll hear log aggregation, you'll hear data storage, active archive. These are other example of use cases, and we have more details and more resources around these, so please go and read up on those. Next, once we see this evolution of operational efficiency use case, customers get expertise, they know how to use Hadoop, then we actually start to see an evolution where they want to go and tackle new use cases, go look at new data sources, gain new insights that they never had before. And this is what we call business transformation use case. And these are prevalent from marketing to healthcare to pharmaceuticals to manufacturing. But one prime example, when you look at marketing, customers always talk about a customer 360 view. What a customer 360 view is, this is the ability to go and know everything about your customer, how they feel about your product, what they're saying about your product, are they recommending your product, is there a new opportunity around your product to offer some service that you never had before. This is what a customer 360 insight will do, and we call this business transformative because you've never been able to do this analysis before, but with the introduction of big data technologies like Hadoop, this allows you to get to this new insight, and now you actually have a technology that can go and help you look at unstructured, structured, or semi-structured data all together at once. So, big data analytics, this is a complex subject, but really what we want to try to do is simplify the conversation with our customers, right? Don't get stuck in the minutia of, what is this big data technology? How do you build it? What does the architecture look like? No, let's get it basic to the basic fundamentals. And really what it starts with is, what type of data are you trying to, look at? What type of data are you trying to process and analyze? Whether it's databases, social media data, Internet of Things type of data from sensors, whatever it might be, what do you want to do with that piece of data? The next step is essentially connect that data, prepare that data so it can be analyzed. And what you want to do is you want to be able to connect that, essentially in one central location. You don't want siloed data. And once you connect that data, you want to be able to integrate it, aggregate it, and transform it so it can be analyzed. And once you're at that final step, this is where the real value comes at. It's because, you can analyze that data with different things, whether it's in-memory computing, whether it's business intelligence, whether it's query, enterprise data warehouse, whatever it might be. But the key thing here is take those simple steps. What's the data? How do you want to transform it and aggregate it? How do you want to connect it together? And then essentially, how do you want to analyze that piece of data? And so, like I said earlier, 2 out of 3 big data projects fail. So Dell and EMC want to help you get you there. We want to be able to essentially improve outcomes for our customers. We want to help them control costs and reduce risk around big data projects. And then, the end result here is we want to empower your end users, your business analysts, your data scientists, your business intelligence community, so that they can go analyze new pieces of data, get to new insights, essentially take action on those insights, and so they can go affect that bottom line and get that goodness out there. So next, let's get into the Dell EMC reference architecture and give you a little bit detail about the solution. So first, let me kind of give you some detail around Hortonworks. So when you look at Hortonworks, Hortonworks is really about the customer journey. They kind of preaching the same story, that we are. And for them, it's about enabling customers to explore, optimize, and transform their data. They want to help customers do data discovery, have a single view of their big data environment, do new use cases like ETL offload. And what they're really trying to do is they're completely 100% open source. They're trying to build a community. They're trying to integrate with a lot of OEM partners so that they can build that end-to-end solution for their customers. So when you look at the ecosystem, Hortonworks, they do have a lot of the same, essentially open source projects integrated into, their ecosystem as Cloudera, but they also have some unique capabilities, different from Cloudera that, other customers, value. So when you look, one example, when you look at data lifecycle and governance, they use tools like Falcon and Atlas. If you look at provisioning and management, they have essentially, they're dedicated to Ambari as essentially their Hadoop management software. You look at CloudBreak, that allows them to essentially deploy, Hortonworks Hadoop workloads in either on-premise or hybrid or cloud environment. So if you look at the ecosystem, not going to go one by one, but it starts with the data management layer, which is HDFS. They include Yarn, and then essentially they give you all the ecosystem tools around there that allow you to build that end-to-end solution around Hadoop. And, Hortonworks has been around for some time. They do have a lot of success. Here are a couple examples from Arizona State to UC Irvine to essentially the Mayo Clinic. When you look at those use cases, whether it's, essentially government, education, healthcare, they've been successful across the board. And we actually have today customers that have, been previously buying Dell powered servers and running Hortonworks. Now we actually have an end-to-end certified solution so that they can use our architecture and make sure that they do it right and leverage our expertise. So now let's get into why Dell, and why do you want to do this with Dell? And so when you look at here, the big idea here is that customers still are continuing to struggle with Hadoop. Hadoop is complex, it's hard to build, and what they're doing is they're spending a lot of upfront time work on building it instead of getting to their use case and getting to the business value. And so what we're trying to do here is offer them our expertise, offer them our certification, and teach them really, hey, if you're going to go and build this, go build it the Dell EMC way. This will save you a lot of time and effort and pain. We have tested, we validated this. Spend your time on the business case, spend your time on the business need, spend your time on the use case. That's where the real value is going to come in, not building it. And then not only that, when we look at this, Hortonworks has started to gain more, traction in the market share. They've actually increased it to about 30%. We do see Hortonworks playing, in our higher level G500 type customers. And so for us, in order to, help those customers out and, provide an offering to them, this is why we're adding Hortonworks to the portfolio. And then once again, when you look at this, it's just not software running on top of hardware. Expertise and infrastructure matter. Like I said, we've optimized this, we've tested it, we've validated it. This is not going to be a science project for customers. If you do it the Dell EMC way, this will work. There's value there for customers. Like I said, leverage our expertise. So next, let's get into, exactly how did we build this. This is a reference architecture. So we have validated Hortonworks running on top of a PowerEdge R730xd, as well as the networking, 10 gig S48 on, and then the S3048 on for the management piece of it. So when you look at this, the goal here is to use our reference architecture so organizations can build new insights that they've never had before. We want to help them simplify the design, architecture, and deployment and configuration. Teach, build it our way. Don't use your time there. Focus on essentially the business need and the use case. And it's tested and validated. We did our homework. We've been doing reference architecture since 2011. This is not new to us. And so we have expertise here. We have the engineering resources. We have the lab resources to make sure that you get a validated end-to-end, Hadoop reference architecture built on Hortonworks. So quickly, let's get into the architecture. Like I said, I'm going to keep this high level, but when you look at this, Hadoop is built on a cluster. Cluster is built from different servers. Within those servers, you have different server roles and different functions. And so when you look at the top of this, essentially these boxes, what these boxes solidify is here's what the server is doing. And so what we have here is we have an admin node. This is where Ambari is running. This is your management console. This is where your Postgres database will run to essentially hold all your information about the cluster. We have an active name node, which is the brains of essentially the cluster. This is keeping all the metadata. You have a standby name node. Essentially, if that active name node goes down, you have the standby name node to take over so that you're not down. The Hadoop cluster is always up and running. And then we have a high availability node. Essentially, this is where the quorum journal goes so that we understand what's going across. So active name node, standby name node goes down. We have a high availability node to go and plug in to make sure that we keep the cluster up and running. On the bottom half of this slide, what we have here is essentially the edge node. The edge node is essentially the access into the Hadoop cluster. So anytime a Hadoop job comes in, it'll come in via the edge node. Once a job is complete, it'll be sent out via the edge node. And so this is where your Hadoop client application takes place. So are you supposed to be on this cluster? Can you access this piece of data? Are you supposed to be running jobs here? Edge node verifies that the job is run. When you look at the data node, this is where the work's happening. This is where the data is stored. When you look at Hadoop, Hadoop is built of two pieces. You have the Hadoop distributed file system, which is the storage layer, and then you have MapReduce. MapReduce is the data processing layer. And so when you look at Hadoop and HDFS, this is where the work is happening on the data node. The other benefit of the Hadoop architecture is that it's high performance because you always have 3 copies of your data. And so if one copy goes down or a server goes down, you still have another copy so that you can just go and execute that piece of work that you need to go and do. Hadoop was born out of the Web 2.0 space. It was built to essentially go and attack massive data problems. I have a lot of data coming at me. It's different types of data, from structured, unstructured, or semi-structured data. I need essentially a file system and a processing mechanism to go and capture all this data, and this is essentially what Hadoop does for customers. And the value here is that Hadoop doesn't care what that piece of data looks like. It could be structured, unstructured, it could be an Excel document, Word document, it could be a video, it could be an image. Hadoop doesn't care, and so that's the other value, because customers can go and store a piece of data without having to do that hard work ahead of time of trying to fit it into a row or a cell or a structured data schema. So that's all I have for today. I want to thank you for your time. Like I said, we're adding the Dell reference architecture, Hortonworks, to the portfolio. This is a good step for us. This allows us to offer customers choice and flexibility on their Hadoop distribution. We're offering an end-to-end validated solution. I appreciate your time today. This is Armando Acosta, and good selling.